Everyone thinks Linux is weird and unusable. Well, that's false. Today, I'm smashing 10 myths that people still believe about Linux. By the end, you will know what's true and what is false, so you might know if you wanna switch or not. And actually, you don't really have to, because there's a website where you can even test Linux without ever having to install anything, and it works perfectly fine. Make sure to subscribe if you want to know which website this is. So let's go to the first one. Linux is only for geeks and developers. Well, that is completely false. Just try out Ubuntu and you should be fine. It is not a complicated OS. Right here I have my Firefox, which is a web browser, probably on default. And everything just works perfectly fine. If you want something that looks a little bit more like Windows, you could try Linux Mint. It has a different desktop experience, but you can change anything you want. Another one you might like is Pop OS. But these are just distro examples. If you need to download something, just go to the App Center right here, click on it, and you have a whole app store, which is way better than Microsoft Store, by the way. Right here we have Chrome. Let's search for Chrome. Don't use Chrome, it's bad. Instead use Brave. And yes, you can still install Chrome. Why not? You just need to go to the website, Chrome, download, and then for Linux. When you go to the website itself, when you click on download, it will actually ask you which operating system or distro you're using. Just click on accept and download, and then you can easily install it like that. Let's say you want to use VS Code. You can easily download it on their website. But yes, not everything is inside the store, but the installations are very simple. Just search on Google and it will work. Otherwise, comment down below. Everyone wants to help you. The second one, there aren't enough apps for Linux. Well, this is not true. There is a wide community out there, especially open source, and most apps will function. There's even support called Wine, which allows you to use Windows apps on Linux directly. So let's say, for example, use Spotify. Let's search it up. Spotify is right here. Let's say you want to install Steam. We got Steam right here. Let's say you want Rockstar Games Launcher, which is a little bit specific, but I'm gonna explain why. It doesn't have it because you need to use Lutris. You can see Lutris is not available here, but it might be in your store. Ubuntu is different from every single other distro. But if we search it up, for example, Lutris, download, you will see Lutris right here, and Lutris allows you to use almost any game launcher and you can install these games. So right here we got the downloads, and what I need is Ubuntu. I'm going to need to open this GitHub, scroll down, and then right here we have the deb file which we can install. .deb is the app installation file for Ubuntu. So just click on it once, then open it with App Center, and then right here let's click on install for Lutris, and yes, it's completely safe. Let's say you want to play Grand Theft Auto 5. You can do this via Lutris by searching it up, and then get Grand Theft Auto 5. Select it. Then right here you see it has support for Epic Games Launcher, Rocket Games Launcher, and even Steam, which is a lot better. I recommend to use Steam for most games because you have Proton, and it is a compatibility to we use, so we can, for example, also play Terraria directly on Steam. Oh no, Terraria is native, but games like Grand Theft Auto are going to run with Proton. The third one is also a myth. Linux can't handle gaming, which is completely wrong because like I showed you, you can even install your games and sometimes it will run better because Linux in the background is a lot lighter. Windows likes to put bloatware on your system, so everything starts up at once, and Linux doesn't do this as much. Like I said, I recommend you get Steam, because Steam is the best if you want to start gaming on Linux. It's the easiest to set up. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you consider subscribing so we can make more amazing content like this. Now let's open it up. Go to left above, click on Steam and then settings. Right here, if you go down, you will find compatibility. Right here we have the default compatibility tool, which is Proton Experimental, which is completely fine to use. So if I go to my library right here, I can, for example, easily play Among Us, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Blade and Sorcery, Garry's Mod, Payday 2, Phasmophobia, Portal 2. The support is there, believe me. The fourth myth is Linux is immune to viruses, which is of course completely not true. If you install some virus on your system, it will directly attack your files and everything. But what Linux does have is many updates and people looking at the open source code to make sure that viruses don't enter, especially in the updates in themselves. What you want to make sure you do is you have a password and everything like that, and you always get the latest updates. Like I said, community is looking at these updates, and every single time you update, you have made sure that that kind of ransomware doesn't enter your system. But don't think you're immune. The fifth myth is crazy. You have to use the command line every single time. No, you don't. And sometimes you do, but not always. Like I showed you, we just have an app center. It works 9 out of 10 times. You can go to Firefox, install your own Debian files, so you can actually install these apps and you wouldn't even have to go into the command prompt to install these. For example, if I go to my downloads folder, you will see I have Google Chrome. If you double click on it, it will try to open the extraction, which I'm going to cancel. Just right click on it, open with, and open with the app center. This way you can install the apps themselves. You wouldn't have to go right click, open a terminal, then sudo apt install, then of course install it like that. It is not needed. Another fear is Linux is too fragmented. Nothing works together. They will assume that some apps and drivers don't work. Maybe if you have an Nvidia GPU or you have an AMD GPU, that shouldn't really matter a lot. Most of the updates you can get from software updates, but especially GPU drivers, just go and type AMD drivers and then the download for Linux. And Linux drivers are right here for the AMD Radeon graphics. Nvidia is a little bit different because these apps are mostly Windows and you can see this by the .exe file. But what you need to do then is to search up the download for Linux and follow those steps. But Nvidia has driver support for Linux, just need to scroll down and then find the Linux drivers, which you can find in this archive, just click on it. And right here you have all the versions, depending on which Linux you have, of course. The seventh one is what I already explained. Hardware and drivers won't work on Linux. Yes, they do, but I do want to tell you AMD has better support on Linux than Nvidia, and that's why I can't really get the Nvidia app. Yeah, there are more AMD GPUs used. It's just my brutal honesty. The eighth one, and I'm gonna keep it very simple, installing Linux is risky and will break my PC. No, of course not. You can try the live USB stick, which means if you put it in, you boot up that USB stick, you can try Linux before ever thinking of installing it, which is pretty useful. You can do a lot of things like browse and everything, maybe install things, but not really big files, but you can test it out. And there are also websites for it. Like I mentioned, you can try out Linux directly in your web browser. You don't even have to install anything. Just subscribe and comment down below, and I'll actually send that link directly to you. I know it won't break your PC and you can try it out. The ninth myth is Linux can't run Windows apps. Well, like I said, you have Wine, and Wine allows you to run most Windows apps directly on your Linux system. The only thing is, if you, for example, want to use Microsoft Office for Linux, there are some complications because it's not natively available for Linux. I recommend that you use LibreOffice, or if you still want to use Microsoft Office, use the web version, which you can get directly in the web itself, and it will also work. Or use my favorite virtual machine, GNOME Boxes. I find it very easy to use. And right here you can just get a Windows virtual machine very easily and it will run perfectly fine. So the last one, the 10th one, Linux lacks enterprise or vendor support. Well, this is more about the businesses that they think and worry about the updates, the SLA and vendor backing. Well, I just recommend that you use Ubuntu LTS for servers. They do have a pretty long support. Ubuntu LTS. Let's download that. And LTS stands for long-term support. We have the Ubuntu server right here if you want to get it, if you're an enterprise. Well, like I said, I've busted all of these myths. And of course, some things may need more support in the future, but I believe that Linux is the best for anyone that doesn't want to use high resources on their system, if you do a lot of mailing and everything. But I don't want to be completely honest, the reason why I have Windows 11 still is because I can't use Photoshop and Premiere Pro and Yeah, of course, also the Microsoft apps. I do struggle with them, and that's why I do have Windows and I run virtual machines for Linux for these tutorials. Make sure to subscribe if you have learned anything here, and don't be afraid of Linux. Comment down below. I will send you a direct link to our website where you can directly use Ubuntu and Red Hat, whatever you want, completely free. It runs in your web browser without any problems. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.